4 open 911 line. Any Hellbeck units at 2 high MGM 1779 and RD457.
When emergencies occur, we rely on local teams of dedicated professionals to get to the scene fast and first. That's why police officers, paramedics, firefighters, and other emergency personnel are known as first responders. These are the people with the training, skills, and equipment that you want to see first when the unthinkable happens and disaster strikes.
Heavy flames were showing when crews arrived, with part of the roof collapsing. It was a tricky fire to fight as flames got into the roof line. 20 firefighters were on scene at one point. Everyone living in this house escaped without injury. The cause of the blaze is under investigation.
But for many first responders, that dedication to helping those most in need doesn't simply get switched off at the end of a shift, or when someone they've assisted gets transferred to the receiving hospital. It continues on in the form of giving back, of making the communities they live and work in healthier and safer. And in White Rock, South Surrey, it's led 2 groups of firefighters to pose a challenge to the citizens of the area. Help us make a difference.
Collectively, we've agreed that this is something that we want to do, and it's really part of our job, and not that the employer is telling us we have to, but this is something that we're telling ourselves. We've got to do this, and we want to be a part of the community.
This commitment from local firefighters could have a long-term impact on the wellness of your friends, your family, your neighbors, or possibly even yourself. In this episode, we'll find out how their challenge came about, why it's part of these first responders' proactive philosophy of preventing emergencies from happening in the first place, and what the inspiring goal is that they're reaching for. This is The Power to Heal. In this series of podcasts, we'll focus on the many innovative ways Peace Arch Hospital, located in White Rock, British Columbia, Canada, has been an integral part of its community. We'll take you behind the scenes of the hospital's dynamic fundraising arm and talk to those who are instrumental in creating new initiatives to help this important healthcare facility grow and evolve along with the town it serves.
A new mental health and substance use treatment area has opened inside Peace Arch Hospital. The new area is located inside the emergency department, and it is meant to support people in a low stimulant, quiet and calming environment. Over the past 2 years, a number of...
The Surrey and White Rock Firefighters Charitable Associations have long been allies of Peace Arch Hospital and its foundation. It's a respectful two-way relationship built on the seamless care first responders and healthcare professionals provide to those in need of urgent medical assistance. Earlier this year, Peace Arch celebrated the grand opening of a new mental health and substance use zone in its expanded emergency department. One of the leading donors to the project? The Surrey and White Rock Firefighters Charitable Associations, with a generous contribution of $535,000 towards the unit. Today, both firefighters' charities are stepping up once again to address another crucial need at Peace Arch Hospital: new medical imaging technology. This vital state-of-the-art equipment will allow clinicians to better triage patients in both acute care and chronic disease, paving the way for imaging-guided interventions and optimized treatment planning. In a twist to their usual approach to fundraising, local firefighters are leveraging the support and trust the community places in them by challenging local residents to contribute to the Peace Arch Imaging Campaign, for which their charitable associations will make matching dollar-for-dollar donations. Here to tell us more about the origins and aims of this uplifting collaboration, one that extends beyond emergency situations right into the heart of our community's overall well-being, is Dylan Van Rooyen, the Vice President of the Surrey Firefighters Association and Surrey Firefighters Charitable Society, and Amy O'Leary, Director of Philanthropy with Peace Arch Hospital Foundation. Dylan and Amy are joined by Power to Heal host Wayne Cox, a veteran broadcaster and longtime resident of White Rock, South Surrey.
Well, Dylan, let's start with a few things about your work as a firefighter that people are most surprised to learn.
Yeah, Wayne, one of the most frequent questions I get as a firefighter is, have you actually ever been into a burning building? People are always shocked to learn that despite the myth that fires are a thing of the past, the reality is actually the opposite. With increased population and increased density these days, we actually respond to more fires on an annual basis than ever before. And studies are showing that fires are burning hotter and faster than ever.
Wow. I'd be with the majority of the population there, thinking that you don't seem to see many fires around anymore, but obviously that's not the case.
No, for sure. Our numbers have been up year by year for the last decade. And in Surrey, we're responding to almost 900 fires a year. So we're doing multiple structure fire calls in a day. Some of those are mitigated quite quickly, and then others obviously grow. And we've seen some pretty significant incidents over the last couple of years in both White Rock and Surrey, where fires are actually spreading to neighboring houses now.
Wow, that's sizable. You mentioned responding. You're a first responder, and, well, I have my own definition of that. What's your definition of a first responder? What do you mean by that?
So really, the emergencies that we've responded to have changed over the years. It includes much more than just fires. Out of those 800 calls, we actually respond to nearly 35,000 incidents in a year. And this includes medical calls, hazmat incidents, technical rescues, to some more non-emergency incidents, such as flooding, a kid locked in a vehicle, or as silly as it sounds, a cat stuck in a tree. Essentially, if people need help and they don't know who to call, they make that 911 call, and often it's firefighters as first responders that arrive on scene with a plethora of tools and knowledge, and we do our best to help in every situation.
I have a friend who's a retired firefighter, and he always told me over the years, if you do have a medical emergency, yes, call 911 and ask for an ambulance, but also ask for firefighters too, because usually the fire hall is closer to you than an ambulance might be. Is that correct?
So we recommend the same. If you're not getting the response, 10 minutes goes by, no one's there, and you feel like you need help and you need someone now, it never hurts to make that subsequent call and ask for a fire response. In BC, we do have a two-tiered system where fire is attached to anything deemed life-threatening, but of course that dispatcher isn't actually on scene, so they're making that assessment based off of the information on the phone, not necessarily what's truly happening. So if there ever is a need, call back and you can request a fire response and we will come.
I also know that firefighters are very proactive when it comes to educating people about how to prevent emergencies from happening in the first place. What kind of outreach are you part of, and why is that important, do you think?
Preventing these incidents, obviously, is a big goal of ours. Responding to fires is something that's going to occur, but if we can prevent and minimize the amount of fires and different emergency incidents, that's a huge win for us, and we don't necessarily want to come to your house when it's on fire. So we do everything from crew inspections, so on-duty fire crews go out in the community. It's mostly businesses that we go into, and we check the basics. The fire extinguishers are there, placed in the correct spot. Having a fire extinguisher tucked into a locked storage room isn't a good spot when there's an incident and you've got seconds to react. So we try to go out and interact with different businesses. We go into the schools and teach them the stop, drop, and roll that we all probably learned when we were kids. That's still something that's taught out in the schools, and we try to engage every opportunity that we have. If it's out in the community just doing work, but it is also an assigned task now to go out and work on the prevention side of things.
And Dylan, speaking of being proactive, we're here today to talk about how the Surrey and White Rock Firefighters charities are stepping up for a crucial Peace Arch Hospital fundraising campaign, and about a dramatic challenge that you've made to the people of White Rock, South Surrey. But first, I'd like to ask why firefighters are just so generous and engaged when it comes to giving back to the community. And how did you first get involved in fundraising and other charitable activities?
So I was lucky to meet a bunch of firefighters at quite a young age, working at the YMCA in Surrey. There were a lot of firefighters that came through the door, brought their kids to swimming lessons. And one thing I always noticed, that the firefighters were out in the community, they're on the sports fields. They are raising funds, they're shaking the boot, they're doing different things. So I started to ask some questions and learn a little bit more about what they did, because really the charitable societies and associations started far before my time on the job. And I learned a little background, and it was essentially the firefighters would get back from a call and we'd see some pretty horrific things. And we know that, okay, we provided assistance on scene and now we're back, but what now? These people need help past that call. And that's really where it started, was firefighters were driven to provide assistance after the incident. So they established these charitable societies as a way to give back. And it started pretty small, like I said, just shaking a boot and collecting coins. And we've developed over the years into a pretty large society now where we raise millions of dollars each year between White Rock and Surrey.
Dylan, on this campaign for new imaging equipment at Peace Arch Hospital, you're working with Andrew Cram, the Vice President of the White Rock Firefighters Charity Association. How did your respective organizations come to team up for this cause?
As Surrey firefighters, we share a border with the White Rock firefighters, often responding to a lot of the same incidents. We support each other too with major incidents where we'll come into White Rock to help them with a large structure fire. They've come into Surrey as well recently where our trucks in the south end have been out busy, tied up at other calls. So we have a close working relationship day to day as it is. And then we both have charitable associations and societies. So for us, it really was a no-brainer when Peace Arch came to us. We know we share that hospital. Our patients are both going to the same hospital. So when the Peace Arch Hospital Foundation came and asked us, would we be interested in supporting some of the work, some of the initiatives that are going on at the hospital, we said absolutely. And then we thought, you know what, why not reach out to our friends in White Rock? I know Andrew well. Andrew's the president in White Rock. I used to be a paid-on-call firefighter myself in White Rock, so we've got a strong working relationship both on and off duty. And right away, White Rock's members stepped up and said, 100%, we're in, we'd like to partner. We understand, we share this hospital. Really, there are no boundaries when it comes to firefighting and the work that we do. Sure, we work for different cities and municipalities, but at the end of the day, our goals and our objectives are the same thing. So for us to come together, join forces, made us stronger, and we were able to increase the amount that we're able to pledge and hopefully match with the community donations.
I know your charitable societies support a wide range of good works in the community, but there seems to be a special place in your hearts for Peace Arch Hospital. Now, for example, both of your organizations supported in a big way the recently opened mental health and substance use treatment area in the Peace Arch Emergency Department. Can you tell us about the close relationship between first responders like you and the hospital?
Specifically the South Surrey and White Rock area, a lot of the patients that we see at these medical calls we were talking about end up at Peace Arch Hospital. So like I was saying, that we understand that they get there, but their journey is just beginning a lot of times, and we see them at their worst moment, but that continues on. So we understand that great work is being done at the Peace Arch Hospital, and Peace Arch Hospital Foundation actually reached out to us and talked to us in the past about the mental health ward that was new and it was up and coming, and it was something close to us because we see the impacts of mental health, but we also see the impacts of just the medical emergency. So we've got a close working relationship with our friends at BC Ambulance and of course the doctors and nurses that are working in the hospitals. So that was an easy one for us when they reached out and said, hey, can you guys help us? And we're already out there raising the money. We know exactly what services that are being provided. So we wanted to be a part of that.
This might be a good time to bring in Amy O'Leary, the Director of Philanthropy with Peace Arch Hospital Foundation. And Amy, the Surrey and White Rock Firefighters Charities have laid down an intriguing fundraising challenge to the local community. What is the challenge in support of, and how is it different from past campaigns?
Thank you, Wayne. Thanks for having me, and thanks, Dylan, for being here. The challenge is exciting. Our firefighters, Surrey and White Rock Charitable Societies, are challenging our community to raise $1 million. They're going to match every gift up to $500,000, and together we can try and raise the last $1 million that we need for really critical diagnostic equipment at Peace Arch Hospital. So there's quite a range of equipment that's coming to end of life at Peace Arch right now, just by happenstance. Our department was needing 3 new ultrasounds, a new digital x-ray, a fluoroscopy unit, digital mammography unit for our diagnostic program, as well as a new MRI and a gamma camera in nuclear medicine. So the challenge is great here. A lot of needs on our site. Diagnostics are incredibly important for patient care. And as sort of the first point of contact for a lot of people coming to community hospital, it's a very pressing need, and we need to make sure that equipment is top notch. So, we have this wonderful partnership with our firefighters. They really did help a lot with our mental health and substance use zone in the new emergency department. A really big impact for a lot of people. And so we worked with them, and they've come on with this really exceptional challenge. We're super thrilled.
That certainly is a long wish list, and I imagine it represents a lot of money, too.
Yeah, Fraser Health came to us with this list of needs. And I mean, the fact that it's all coming to end of life at the same time is a challenge. Diagnostic equipment like this is some of the most expensive on site, the most complex projects that you can have. And to have multiple of them happening at the same time is really quite extraordinary. So our board did look at that and said, we need to be part of a solution here. We want to be a site where people know we have the best equipment. They know that they're going to receive the best care. It's also a big recruitment tool. Technologists and physicians want to work at a site with up-to-date equipment. That's how they hone their skills and they keep relevant and challenged and up to date. So having this equipment also just helps with recruitment and retention, which is really, really important right now during a challenging time in our medical environment. So that's kind of it. We are looking to raise $10 million for this equipment, and we are almost there. We have a very generous community. They have helped us. We are at $9 million right now, and we need to get to the final $1 million. The firefighters, amazing. They are challenging our community here to help us with that last $1 million, and then we'll celebrate success at Peace Arch.
And that fundraising challenge is intriguing. It's a matching gifts type of campaign. Is that an effective way of fundraising?
It sure is. It's really exciting for people. I think at the end of the day, every donor wants to feel like they've made a difference. Everyone wants to feel like they've had an impact and their gift has helped somebody. And a matching campaign, what it does is when you make that gift, large or small, that it's going to be doubled. And that feeling of making a difference is really amplified during a matching gift campaign. So it is really inspirational. The thing that is very exciting for us is that there is no more inspirational group than firefighters. Surrey and White Rock firefighting organizations here are incredible fundraisers of their own right. And what they do for our community, the devotion, the exceptional hard work, the sacrifices that they make every day is going to make this campaign so, so exciting and inspirational in the community.
According to a report from the Conference Board of Canada, excessive wait times for CT and MRI diagnostics cost the economy $3.54 billion in 2017. Much of this economic impact can be attributed to the approximately 5% of patients, or about 380,000 people a year, who are forced to temporarily leave the workforce while waiting longer than the recommended maximum wait time for urgent medical scans. This, in turn, reduces government revenues by $430 million a year. Meanwhile, the growth in demand for CT and MRI services is expected to outpace any increases in supply over the long term. In 2019, when the Conference Board report was published, over 240 new CT and MRI machines were required to modernize Canada's aging stock of medical imaging equipment at a cost of $469 million. And in terms of total investment needed to meet demand and keep medical imaging machines up to date with the latest technology, the figure is $4.4 billion over the next 2 decades.
Well, Dylan, as a first responder, maybe you could speak a little bit about how helping to fund state-of-the-art medical imaging equipment at Peace Arch Hospital fits in with your commitment to give back to the community.
We understand the importance and the need for a quick diagnosis. Often we see people, we don't really know what triggered the event. They're in medical distress. We provide immediate assistance. We try to get them to the hospital safely. But when they get to the hospital, the doctors need to figure out what's going on, diagnose the issue so that they can provide adequate treatment and quickly, so that the members of the community return back home as fast as possible and have the best possible outcome.
Dylan, many of us in the White Rock, South Surrey area have called upon Peace Arch Hospital at one time or another for an MRI or ultrasound. Have you ever had a personal experience, either yourself or a family member or colleague, where an accurate medical scan made a huge difference in terms of both diagnosis and recovery from illness or an injury?
Yeah, unfortunately, this past December and January, we had a personal story, and it was my young daughter who became ill and ended up at BC Children's, but she actually had to go through various testing, and included in that was an MRI. She's actually had 4 now, and that really helped to pinpoint quite the treatment. And I'm proud to say she was treated, and we were there for a couple of weeks, and she's back home now. And a lot of that is due to quick assessment with the right tools. And that allowed the doctors to really decide what is the best course of action. So I saw firsthand how important it is to have quick access to this.
I'm also curious to know how charitable societies like yours raise the impressive amounts of money that they do, and in this case, potentially $500,000. How do you do it? Can you give us some examples, maybe big and small examples of your charitable activities?
Yeah, for sure. So we started out, as mentioned, with just shaking a boot, collecting quarters and coins, and that raised us so much money. And since then, we've adapted. We now have various fundraising initiatives. Our charity golf tournament's actually our largest self-organized tournament. And one thing to mention is firefighters are all doing this on their own time. So it's a group of firefighters volunteering their time to host these events. We've got our golf tournament, we've got a hockey tournament, we've got soccer tournament, we've got a beer tasting event, we've got a wine tasting event. In addition to, our members actually make personal donations off each pay. So their biweekly pay, they take a deduction in pay, and that goes to our charitable society. So there's a variety of different initiatives, including a thrift store that we run in Newton, where we sell used clothing and have a group of volunteers. And these are just community volunteers, not just firefighters, but we bring the community in, and they believe in the causes that we support and volunteer their time helping us raise this money. And this year, it's been a record year. We're going to raise $1.7 million just this year through the variety of initiatives that are led by a group of, really, I call us unprofessionals. We're not professional fundraisers, we're professional firefighters. We didn't really know what we were doing when we set out, and over the years, we figured out how to do this. And one thing that I've learned is people trust firefighters. So when we come to them, ask for a donation, I used to work for a charity, it almost seemed easier as a firefighter to say, hey, would you support our cause? Absolutely. What do you need? Is often the response that we get. And I wasn't used to that. I used to have to go out and do the hard work and try to convince people that, yeah, join us, support this cause. But for firefighters, it just seems to come a little easier.
Well, I know it's hard work raising money. I've tried in the past too, and it's difficult. I mean, people's hearts are in the right place, but sometimes their wallets are kind of hard to get open. Good for you to get out there and being face-to-face with the public because, as you say, we trust firefighters, and if you say it's a good deal, we'll go along with that for sure. Amy, you mentioned that long list of diagnostic equipment that's needed, and obviously this money is going to help fund that. It also helps out with, let's say, cutting down on the number of future visits to the hospital that people have to make.
Absolutely. There's a few things at play here. When equipment is outdated or older, it breaks down more frequently, and that impacts our wait lists because then people are moved. They're not able to get the diagnostics, the scans that they need. So wait lists get longer. The other thing that happens is when the imaging isn't quite as good as it could be, there's more false positives. You might get called back for an additional scan that you don't really need. The equipment often takes longer to perform the scans. So an MRI might take quite a bit longer, and so there's fewer patients in a day. There's a whole lot of reasons that having up-to-date equipment is going to help with wait lists and improve patient care. So those are a few of them. Decreased radiation is another one, less radiation for our medical staff and for our patients. That's quite important as well. You know, I can give you an example, but at PSARCH, we do up to about 250 x-rays every single day. We have 3 x-ray units. We do about 250 up to about that. So that's about 5,000 x-rays every single month at PSARCH. And you can imagine that if one of those 3 x-ray units goes down for a day or 3 days or a week or 2 weeks, the amount of patients that are being bumped and moved. And when you are waiting for answers, you don't want to wait that long. You want to get your scan as soon as possible so you can get on your treatment plan and get going on your care. So there's a really big impact. You know, every breakdown, every maintenance that's required on an older piece of equipment means patients that are waiting longer. So that's really what it comes down to. Every single one of those pieces of equipment, those are the things at stake here.
And is that a common problem faced by older hospitals like PSARCH, where devices and buildings are starting to show their age?
You know, it's not really like an old hospital problem. It's an old equipment problem. Our community really rallied around Peace Arch in the early 2000s to get the first MRI. That was a big deal for our community. Many of our listeners probably donated towards that first MRI. That was now in 2009. That MRI is doing what it needs to do, but it's just at the end of its life. So it's a little less about the building and more about the individual pieces of equipment that are there and how they're serving the patients. So, that MRI could be better. Our radiologists and our surgeons rely on those scans to diagnose really critical ailments and come up with those care plans right away. And we want an MRI that is not breaking down, that has the best image quality, that is faster so we can see more patients every day.
And now correct me if I'm wrong, but that MRI machine is working pretty much 24 hours a day, is it not?
24/7. Yeah, you could get an MRI appointment at 4 a.m. I can kind of reiterate with Dylan, I had my own issue at home here. My husband in September fell down our stairs and he suffered a severe shoulder injury and he needed pretty urgent imaging. He couldn't move his arm at all. And for a dad and a yoga teacher and a business owner, it was a pretty big impact on us. So he needed an MRI, and we were so grateful for Peace Arch. Personally, I knew you need to do it at Peace Arch. We also have a brand new emergency with brand new surgical suites, and I knew our hospital is where I wanted him to receive that care. And I was very grateful that he got that imaging when he needed it, and the MRI was there when he needed it. But there are a lot of patients still waiting, so those are the patients we're trying to help.
Dylan, take us inside a meeting of the Surrey Firefighters Charitable Society. How do you decide which groups or causes will be supported? Do organizations approach you for help?
Yeah, that's probably one of our most challenging things that we do now. Now that the word's out that we've been successful in raising funds, and obviously we promote the good work that we're doing and we try to recruit new supporters and people see our events. But that means that more and more people come to us and say, hey, we also need help. We are now supporting in Surrey over 80 different charitable initiatives each year. If you add in White Rock, you're probably over 100 different charitable initiatives a year. So as a group, we need to sit there and go through the proposals and find time to go through the proposals, because this is something that we're doing off the side of our desk in addition to firefighting. All of our board members are firefighters full-time, same in White Rock. They're all full-time firefighters. So we need to sift through that as quick as we can and then make those tough decisions on who are we supporting this year, who can we support. And the worst thing would be saying, hey, yes, we can do 500,000 and then come back in a year and say, you know what, we can't, we didn't raise the funds. So that's the tough balance. It's helping as many as we can, but ensuring that we can actually raise these funds and we've got a plan in place. So that's always the debate is, can we take on more? We all want to say yes, and often we do. And then we're faced with the conversation turns to, okay, what's next? How are we going to increase the funds raised this year so that we can continue to say yes and support? So they're fun meetings, but they're challenging meetings.
And do most firefighters have charitable societies?
Yeah, most do. So in BC, we're all part of what's called the British Columbia Professional Firefighters Association, and all 55 locals actually have some charitable aspect. Some of these locals are quite a bit smaller. We're talking in some of these small communities, and a big focus is on the BC Burn Fund. That's also, if we go back in time, that's really where firefighters started with the Burn Fund, because there was a direct connection to fighting fires and burn patients. But I'm proud to say that all organizations in BC, all professional organizations, are doing some fundraising. Some are larger, some are smaller, but it is something that collectively we've agreed that this is something that we want to do, and it's really part of our job, and not that the employer is telling us we have to, but this is something that we're telling ourselves. We've got to do this, and we want to be a part of the community.
And Amy, Peace Arch is a key benefactor of our local firefighters' charitable initiatives. Beyond the practical benefits of things like new imaging equipment and refurbished emergency rooms, how does this kind of civic engagement and spirit of generosity make you feel?
Well, I have to say, every day I have the immense pleasure of working with some of the most incredible, generous, caring people in our community. I work with people who want to make healthcare better, who want to improve our hospital, give back, do good in the world. I work with people who make large gifts because they can and they want to. I work with people who make really modest gifts, but they do it every year for 30 years. I work with volunteers. That is one of the most special gifts that a charity can receive. I hear Dylan talk about the strength of the volunteerism. It's astounding, truly. What a volunteer will do for a charitable organization is just one of the most special gifts that you could receive. I also work with people who can't afford to give now, and they make the ultimate gift by a gift in their estate plans later. This huge array of wonderful, generous people. And one of the most amazing has been my relationship here with Surrey and White Rock Charitable Societies. I have been working with Dylan and his team, Andrew and the folks over at White Rock there, since that 2015 gift towards the emergency department. And I have been so struck by what a treasure these two organizations are in our communities. Truly exceptional fundraisers. They give so much to our community. So I have no doubt that our community is going to feel that come through in this challenge match. These are two groups that want to do good in the world, and they want to challenge our community to help come up with that last $1 million that we need for this campaign. And I think it's going to be so extraordinarily inspirational for everybody involved. So I am so excited. I think it's going to be a really great thing for all of us.
And Dylan, when your duties do bring you to Peace Arch Hospital and the new emergency department, which is truly wonderful, how do you feel? How does it make you feel when you walk into that room and realize that your group was instrumental in funding it?
One word that comes to mind is proud. It makes us proud that we're a part of that, and to see it open and in operation, in action, and everything happening. And anyone who's ever walked into an emergency ward, we know how busy it is in there. And just to see that we've played a small role in making that successful and providing the care that's needed to our patients that we see at calls, but also the community as a whole. Some people we never see and they just go directly there, but we're just proud to be a part of something that's so needed in the community.
Well, it's a great job you and your colleagues are doing, Dylan, and we commend you for it. And Amy, how can people listening to this podcast get involved or make a donation that will be matched by the firefighters for the new medical imaging equipment at Peace Arch Hospital?
Yeah, this match campaign is happening between May and August. So anytime during that time, if you give, you can head over to www.pahfoundation.ca. Your donation to the medical imaging campaign will be matched by the firefighters dollar for dollar. So make a gift, large or small. Every single dollar makes a huge difference. So please give, just whatever that looks like for you. Every single gift is meaningful, and we appreciate them all. Become a monthly donor. You could think about that. You could think about hosting a fundraiser for us. We've had some lovely birthday parties. We've had a kindergarten group over at Sunnyside that made greeting cards and sold them, that made a gift. You can do anything like that, host your own fundraising event, and if you give the proceeds from May to August, it will go towards the match. Another thing you can do is get your businesses involved. So if you own a local business, you frequent a local business, try to get our flyers up just to help spread the word would be great. You can throw up one of our tip-tap machines there. You can host a fundraiser at your business. So let's get the local business community involved. We're excited for that. You can also just follow us on social media. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, WeChat. If you can follow us there, like, comment, share our posts during May to August, that would be a huge help for us just to get the word out about this. We want to take advantage of this really generous offer, this generous challenge from White Rock and Surrey Fire Charitable Societies. So let's cost every dollar to these guys. So every gift that you make is going to be matched and will be a huge help for us. So we'll get to that final $1 million that we need to bring this critical equipment to Peace Arch.
Well, I'm sure listeners to this podcast from White Rock and South Surrey will be proud and assured to know that our firefighters are there to safeguard our communities, not only in emergency situations, but also for the well-being of generations to come. Thank you, Dylan, for the work you do with your charitable societies and for making a difference. And thank you, Amy, for telling us about the hospital's campaign to upgrade essential medical equipment for the benefit of everyone in this area.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dylan, Surrey and White Rock Fire. We're so grateful for your help. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the kind words. And like you said, put us to work and make us come up with that $500,000, and let's get to that $10 million goal.
The Power to Heal podcast, presented by Peace Arch Hospital Foundation in White Rock, British Columbia, takes you behind the scenes of an innovative hospital foundation and introduces you to the team who find new and sometimes surprising ways to engage with the local community and help fund the best healthcare possible in the region. Since 1988, the foundation has raised over $210 million for capital projects, medical equipment, and community health programs. Their passionate and caring team's number one priority is the prudent stewardship of your gifts and the resulting positive impact on patients and medical staff at Peace Arch Hospital and the entire White Rock South Surrey community. Peace Arch Hospital Foundation, where innovation comes to life in so many ways. The simple act of giving is truly transformational. Every dollar we receive is enhancing healthcare in this community, whether it's supporting our capital infrastructure, the purchase of essential medical equipment, or funding a wellness program like stroke recovery, or a children's club to encourage healthy habits and active play. Our wide range of giving options includes monthly donations, an increasingly popular and convenient choice that makes the greatest impact on your community hospital. You just sign up once and the rest is automatic, and that includes receiving a consolidated tax receipt at the end of the year. But no matter what giving option you choose, it all matters and it all makes a difference. Be sure to subscribe to Power to Heal wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Each episode brings you inspiring stories about the Peace Arch Hospital Foundation and its innovative approach to supporting better healthcare throughout the White Rock South Surrey community. Thanks for listening.
Another Everything Podcast production. Visit everythingpodcast.com. Subscribe.